you. I would like to start today by just getting questions from maybe a couple of you. I have some prepared remarks about test anxiety, but I want to kind of see where you're at first. So can you give me, maybe raise your hands? That would be helpful. Use the raise hand feature in Zoom. It's under reactions, raise hand. Looks like that. Maybe just tell me what's going on. Why are you here to learn about test anxiety? What is it about tests that makes you anxious? Somebody talk to me. Okay, Olivia and then Meg.
Hey everybody, thank you for hosting, Nathan. So I'm taking the LSAT in August, and I'm here because I guess I'm having trouble finishing sometimes some of the practice stuff that I do, and it does give me anxiety just about what's coming for me in August, because I really do want to do well, and I feel like I am putting a lot of pressure on myself to get this certain score that I might not even be able to achieve. So I guess, how do I reconcile with that?
Anxiety about not being able to finish and self-imposed pressure about achieving a particular score. Got it. Thank you, Olivia. How about Meg?
Hey, I just wanted to, I'm excited for this class, but also you told me the other day in class to just suck it up and take another test, because I had gotten a 171 and that was my best PT score ever. And I was like, I don't want to take another one. It's going to be a low score. And you were like, okay. And so I did, and it was a 158, which is not great. It's like average, but I recognized that my LR had gone up quite a bit, just like from some of the techniques here. And then my logic games were way down because I'm new to the mapping method. So I've actually seen like some of the anxiety go away, and now I'm just trying to hammer in the methods a little better. I don't know. It's not really like I don't know, I'm just saying it's helping, I guess.
Gotcha. Okay, a couple more for Leisha, then Molly.
Hi, Nathan. Thank you for hosting this class. I've been really waiting and really excited when I saw that you were going to do this. So thank you so much. I wanted to, I'm hoping that you tonight can address, particularly for those of us who are considered, I guess, your non-traditional students, who may have had some work experience under our belt, and we're jumping back into this arena for various reasons. But I think for me, the anxiety comes from just naturally, historically, I have not been a very good test taker. I do, relatively well in school. I enjoy school, but when it comes to testing, that's something that it just triggers a lot of things for me. And so when I do a lot of testing, my practice tests, and I'm not seeing the progress that I want to at this point, because I've been at this for a while now. It really kind of takes me out. It may take me out for a day or a day and a half, and I need to be able to jump back in. And platitudes just don't work for me. Get in there and do it again. And yeah, I'm doing that. But if I'm not shifting, and I feel like I'm doing everything that I need to do to shift, if that's not happening, what tools are there that maybe some of us can consider, who are non-traditional students who have to kind of readjust to this format and this way of thinking and doing things that just don't take us out the way that it takes me out?
Gotcha. Okay, first of all, you got to stop. Sorry this was not part of my original prepared remarks, but there is no difference between a non-traditional student and a traditional student. The LSAT is a special beast. It's not like college. It has nothing to do with any other standardized test. The law school admission test is a test of English, logic, and how hard you can work. And as a non-traditional, just you're a little bit older. So what? I think you're getting in your own way, for Alicia, with this idea that non-traditional students are at any kind of a disadvantage. Non-traditional students do just fine on the law school admission test. But I don't have special tips for non-traditional students. I think that you're just like everybody else. And so all of the remarks that I'll make later, I think will apply to you just as much as they apply to anybody else. But thank you for Alicia. Okay, I can't take everybody. Let me do Molly and then Sam, and then thank you everybody else, but I'm gonna have to make my prepared remarks. We might have time for questions at the end, I hope. So Molly and then Sam.
Awesome, thank you so much.
Sure.
I think the reason why I'm here is I want to learn how to enjoy the test and enjoy preparing for it, because
Right.
the test already and I didn't do as well as I hoped, and I became scared to get back into practicing again because I wanted to take it again, but it's been hard. Like I've started again recently, but I want to actually enjoy the process so I don't feel so discouraged when it goes poorly, because it gives me a lot of anxiety to not do as well as I hope, and I want to do better. So that's kind of why I'm here.
Great, thank you, Molly. And Sam.
Hi, Nathan. Good to see you here. It's been a
Hi.
while. I'm honored to be the last one to ask questions today for this session. So I've been with Zeman for a while, and August, LSAT is gonna be my fourth official.
Okay.
I've made a lot of progress, but every time, the last two times when I take the official, I freeze on games. I always get 100% on games in practice tests, but I know last time I missed at least 6. And the second time too. So it's just, I think my problem is I expect to get 100%. So every time game section appeared, I kind of freeze up a little bit, and always try to make perfect world. And I know you said the purpose of making a world is to eliminate rules. So I just want to hear some advice on that. And also my second question, I'm preparing for August, but also preparing personal statement, diversity statement. So what's the balance in terms of time management? Thank you.
100% LSAT, 0% everything else.
Okay.
All that other stuff, you can tick off those boxes late at night when you're too tired for LSAT studying, but LSAT needs to be your priority. The first thing that I wanted to acknowledge before I move into my tips that I have on hopefully alleviating test anxiety, my first thing I wanted to acknowledge is that this is probably the most important test you'll ever take. I don't think that we can really get around that. The law school admission test determines, not solely determines, but it's the primary determinant, not only where you're going to get into school, but also how much you're going to pay to go to that school. It's worth $150,000 easily in scholarships for law school. If you go to lsatdemon.com/scholarships, everybody needs to do this. Please go to lsatdemon.com/scholarships and put in your undergraduate GPA and various LSATs and look at the kinds of offers that we predict for you if you get the right score. For most people, if you improve by 10 points, you will be getting into some school that never would have admitted you, and that school will give you a scholarship. Now, you would have gotten denied. You would have gotten waitlisted and not admitted. And with 10 more points at school X, not only are you going to get in, but you're going to get tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars of scholarship money. So we have to acknowledge that this test is extremely high stakes as far as tests go. Some of you are like, well, but the bar exam is even higher stakes, but I don't think that that is really necessarily true, because if you go to the right school at the right price, you're not going to have any problem with the bar exam. The LSAT should convince you not to go to law school. Actually, if you can't get the right school at the right price, you should just not go. Because the people who go to the wrong school at the wrong price, like if you pay full price at a bad law school, those are the people who preferentially really struggle on the bar exams. People who go to, even mediocre schools. I went to UC Hastings. It's an okay law school, ranked 51st in the country. It's nothing special. But at that school, if you go there on a scholarship, like you're pretty much gonna pass the California bar. You'll have to work hard, but you're gonna pass the California bar. So I don't think you should have really stress about that. I also don't want you to have stress about this test either. So acknowledging how high stakes this test is, we can't just ignore that or lie about that. I had a student recently who asked me about test anxiety. So I emailed Ben Olson, my business partner here at LSAT Demon. He's a very wise man, that Ben Olson. And I just didn't know what to tell this one particular student. And he wrote back, I'm going to quote his email in a couple different parts. The first thing that I wanted, right off the bat, he said, and this is going to strike you maybe as a little bit paradoxical. Ben said, she values the LSAT too much. She needs to let it go. She needs to sincerely believe that it doesn't matter. If she completely fails the test again and again, her life will still be okay, maybe even way better. Okay, so a couple things there. First thing is, we talked recently about this on the Thinking LSAT podcast. Some of you might have heard it. We read this law review article by a law professor and judge who wrote a law review article that was entitled Unhappy, Unhealthy, and Unethical. And it was his take on the legal profession, especially big law. And his whole thesis was, don't do it. And this guy is a lawyer, a law professor, and a judge. And he was saying, in a very well-reasoned law review article, he was saying, hey, you want to be unhappy? You want to be unhealthy? You want to be unethical? This is the path you should stay on. And so he's telling you, just don't even do it. And I think that that's what Ben meant when he said, maybe your life will even be way better if you don't kill this test. It's okay not to continue down this path. And I think you have to kind of accept that, you know what, there's a lot of life out there. If this isn't the thing for me, then this isn't the thing for me. There's other things for me, and that's going to be okay. The other thing that Ben is saying that I think is very wise is that you should try to train yourself as much as possible to have some perspective, to not take it so seriously. So granting, yeah, it's the highest stakes test I'll ever take. But you know what? It's just a test, whatever. I either do or do not do great on it. And a lot of my tips that I'm going to say later are going to be related to that idea of how do we find this place where we can take the test, but also not really care that much about it. Work your ass off. Be very well prepared. But then in the moment, find a way to not care so much. You have to let it go. I'm going to try something here and we'll see if this works. I saw this thing online. I'm going to share my screen. And hopefully this is going to work. Let's see. Have you seen this? I don't want to get like too super philosophical on you, but this is, what is the name of this space telescope? Can someone tell us? This is a brand new space telescope. Go ahead, Jen.
James Webb.
James Webb Space Telescope. And this is a chain of images from the James Webb Space Telescope linking. So this is a very zoomed in picture. And what we can do with these pictures, if it'll work, is to zoom out and then pan over in the sky and zoom into another spot. And I don't know about you, but I feel like this does a very nice job of giving us some sense of how inconsequential everything we do really is in the grand scheme of things. We are nowhere. We are nothing. The universe gives not one shit about our entire planet, let alone your law career and the law school admission test. I mean, we're looking at a picture right here of, these are galaxies, like the small little dots are galaxies. And when we zoom out, we then see an infinite array of endless, it's just incomprehensible how big the universe is. And okay, I'm not going to waste forever talking about that, but I guess it is related to the proper, I think, mindset for succeeding on this test is to kind of get out of your own way a little bit. Stop telling yourself all of the stories about how, you know, you've struggled with tests in the past, you're having a really hard time with this one. It's such a wildly, amazingly big deal, but I just don't think it is. All right, let's get off of that topic for a second and make some slightly different remarks. Law schools only care about your highest score. In the United States, law schools only care about your highest score. They might see other scores, but they only care about your highest score because that's the one that they have to report to the American Bar Association via the 509 report. And that's the one that US News uses when they rank law schools. And so they can say whatever they want, but if they are smart at all, they really only care about your highest score. You're allowed to take it 3 times in one cycle or up to 5 times if you cross the cycle boundaries. And there's an appeals process beyond that. So I have heard of people taking it 6 and 7 times for various reasons. And so you really do have multiple bites at it. I want you to figure out how to treat every official LSAT as if it were just another practice test. Key to that is don't take the official test until you're prepared. You need to take practice tests regularly, not full tests necessarily, but you need to do timed sections regularly. Frequently, I hear students say, well, every time I time myself, I struggle. And then I come to find out that that student only times themselves because they're so afraid of it. They only time themselves once every 3 weeks or once a month, or hardly ever do they actually sit down and do real timed LSAT. If you're not doing timed sections, you're not doing the LSAT. I don't know what you're doing, but you're not doing the LSAT. The LSAT is a timed test. You might have 35 minutes. If you're accommodated, you might have 53 or 70, or we've even heard of 100-minute sections. So if you have accommodations, it's still timed. You're still going to have a time limit. It is a timed test. And if you're preparing for the LSAT, I don't care if it's day 1 or if it's day 1001 of your LSAT prep, you need to be doing time sections regularly so that you can desensitize yourself to the ticking clock and so that you can practice what's going to happen on the day of the game. You have to play the game. And if you're not doing time sections regularly, you're just not playing the game. Do a lot of time sections. If you did 1 logical reasoning, 1 logic games, and 1 reading comprehension every week, you would have done a test. You could calculate your score on a 120 to 180 scale. If you did that for 3 months, you'd have 12 scores on record, practice tests on record. And that chain of practice tests on record would give you a very real sense of where you're at. And it might even give you some sense of trajectory. Am I improving? Am I figuring it out? Am I getting better or am I not? I want you to not take the official test. This is critical. This is a critical point for test anxiety. Do not sit for the official test until you are happy with the range of your recent practice test scores. If you can't look back at the last 3 or 5 practice scores and go, yeah, okay, you know, some of them are better, some of them are worse, but I'm happy with that range, then you're just not prepared to take the test. So don't take it. If you take it, that's a recipe for an anxiety bomb, because you know you're not ready. The practice test results clearly indicate you're not ready, and you go take it anyway, and then you have a disaster. Well, stop setting yourself up for failure. Make sure you're fully prepared. Then, once you're fully prepared, treat every real test like it's just another one of those practice tests. As much as possible, you need to take your practice tests seriously, but not too seriously, because I don't want you to take the real thing too seriously. I want you to take the real thing and the practice tests exactly as seriously, which is to say, you're going to do your best on every question. And that's all you can control anyway. So do your best on every question and then see what the score is. Once you start taking the official test, plan to take it multiple times. Most people need to take it at least twice. But like I said, you can take it up to 5 times without a waiver, and you might be able to take it 6 or 7 times if you appeal, and you have multiple bites of the apple. It would be crazy not to exhaust those attempts. If you're happy with your practice test scores and you underperform on official test number 1, you need to take official test number 2. Nothing went wrong. It's not like you need to restudy or study differently. You were happy with your practice test scores. You had a hiccup on official test number 1, take official test number 2. And then same thing, if official test number 2 doesn't go your way, take official test number 3, and 4, and 5, and eventually, hopefully, you'll get the score that you need that'll get you to the school you want to go to at the price you want to pay, which ideally is $0. That's my mission in life, is to get you guys to go to law school for free. About that, don't take it until you're prepared bit. I've seen a couple hands up. I'm going to take questions at the very end, so just hold those, please, for the very end of class. I want to tell a little bit of a story of one of my worst moments, one of my most embarrassing, just terrible moments of my life. When I was 21, I was a stockbroker, if you can believe it. I worked at a little firm called A.G. Edwards. Well, it was a national firm. They recently got bought out by some other giant conglomerate, but it was a small office in Sacramento. And I had interned there doing like spreadsheet stuff. And I thought I wanted to be a stockbroker. So I went to work when I graduated from UC Davis. I went to work as a stockbroker, and it turned out that I hated it. It was mostly a sales job, and I just didn't want to do sales. And I had an older guy, an older successful broker who took me as his business partner. And he one of the ways that he got business was he did these presentations to basically, he would put ads in the newspaper about topics that like retirees would be interested in. And then he did these like seminars for retirees. And the seminar that we were doing was mandatory distributions from your IRA at age 70 and a half. And I was scheduled to speak. I have throughout my life been a terrified public speaker. I know it's hard to tell when I'm an LSAT teacher, when I'm in LSAT teacher mode, but I am really terrified of public speaking in other contexts. And I had to do this speech about mandatory distributions at age 70 and a half, and I just didn't prepare enough for it. I put my head in the sand and I didn't really prepare. And I had a damn panic attack during the presentation. And I'm talking just shaking, sweating bullets. I had tried to like half-ass memorize my speech, which of course is tragic. I lost my place. I just froze in front of like just a whole bunch of old folks. And they're like just sitting there like, huh, what's going on with this guy? I look at my business partner. He's like, dude, what are you doing? Why don't you just talk? And it was horrifying. And the reason why it was so terrible is because I just wasn't prepared for it. And I knew I wasn't prepared for it. And I completely crashed and burned. I want you to get good at the test. Okay, I want you to master it so that you know that you're the shit on the LSAT, so that you can roll in there to the official test and just crush it. I want you to get good. My very best tip for avoiding anxiety is to get actually good at it. And by actually good at it, I mean get actually good at doing the timed law school admission test. I don't care that you can do it untimed. It's great that you're drilling, you know, if you're using LSAT Demon, you're drilling and you're doing one question at a time and you're getting better at those individual questions. It's great that you can understand it when you're reviewing a question untimed. All that stuff is important. You should be doing all of those things. But you have to get good at the 35-minute timed sections so that on test day, when that clock starts, you can confidently just turn the clock off and answer one question and get it right. I want to go back to Ben's email. Ben, the second thing that Ben had said in this email. Oh, no, I lost my place. Wait, no, I've got it. He said about this student with anxiety, after saying, you know, your life's going to be okay, don't worry about it too much, it's fine. He also said, and she needs to focus on what she's doing, not the test or the section, or even, for example, the game or the passage. She needs to focus on the next sentence. When she starts focusing on other things, that's okay. Just go back to the next sentence. She just has to solve that sentence. And this is key to our whole philosophy at LSAT Demon, is that the test makes perfect sense on the page if you make sense of it. But you can't make sense of the whole game at once. You can't make sense of the whole reading comprehension passage at once. You can't make sense of the whole argument in logical reasoning at once. All we're ever doing is making sense of one sentence at a time. Your 120 to 180 LSAT score, that's none of your business. How you're doing on this section, that's none of your business. How you're doing on this game, this section, this passage, no, that's none of your business. Your business is, what are you reading right now? So you've got to let that thought pass. It comes into your mind and you go, oh, I see. I'm freaking out about freaking out about how this is, you know, the entire future of my legal career. And you start to feel that rising anxiety. You can feel the worry, and then you just let it go, because the thing that you have to do is just that one sentence in front of you. Um, last thing that I have like scheduled to talk about, I want to talk about mindfulness practices a little bit, and I want to talk about gratitude a little bit. If you're not already meditating or doing yoga or something else that gets you kind of out of your you know, go kind of mindset and just sort of into the present moment, I strongly encourage you to pursue that, especially for those of you who are so anxious and you think that you don't have time for that, or you think, oh, I'm bad, I've tried to meditate and I'm terrible at it. Yeah, you need it the most. It pays amazing dividends in all aspects of your life to be able to focus on the present moment. And it's exactly what I was just talking about, to be able to bring yourself back from whatever random thing is causing you anxiety. You know, at the top of class, you guys asked a bunch of questions and you had like 100 different things that are giving you anxiety. But I think that all of them potentially can be solved by figuring out a way to just let all that shit go and instead come back to the present moment and the task that's actually at hand, which is you've got to read this one sentence that's in front of you. And it might be kind of a pain in the ass of a sentence, but it makes sense. You can make sense of it. And that's your job right now. And that's what you need to do. I've been doing a ton of yoga recently, and you know, it's not like meditation per se, but meditation is a huge part of it. You're just like, you're just always following your breath. And I see benefits in all aspects of my life, like immediately start to see benefits in my relationships and in my, you know, in my golf game, like the dumbest thing in the world, who gives a shit? But, you know, like I was playing a match this morning. I had a golf match this morning, and it's kind of a big deal to me. Like I want to stay in the tournament. I don't want to get knocked out of the tournament by this dude. And, you know, it's like the thoughts, you can't stop the thoughts from attacking your mind, but you can acknowledge the thoughts and then just let those thoughts pass and then just come back to the present moment. In golf, it's, hey, what's the shot that I have to hit right now? Worrying about your score, worrying about the status of the match, worrying about how embarrassed you're going to be if you get beat by this 70-year-old, you know, old dude, and your friend is he's going to make fun of you if you lose the match to this old guy. And all that shit is not helpful. It's natural. You can't stop it. It's coming, but you can let it come, and then you can just kind of go, yeah, okay, all right. I got to come back. I got to do the thing in front of me. And the thing in front of me is like, well, shit, you're good at this. You've gotten good at it. You're good enough at it. You're gonna hit. You're gonna do the thing. Just hit the shot. And all the other shit will take care of itself. So yoga, meditation, for some people it's running. There's other things that people can do to do mindfulness stuff, but it's real simple. I mean, it's as simple as just sort of sit down for 5 minutes and try to pay attention to your breath for 5 minutes. You know, just notice how hard it is to just even make that decision. I mean, not even 5 minutes, do it for 1 minute. Follow your breath for 1 minute. And see if you can do that. You know, see if you can count 10 breaths. How many crazy thoughts come into your mind during that short amount of time that it takes to count 10 breaths? Every random paranoia and anxiety in your whole life comes in, and then you learn, no, I know, but I'm counting my breaths now, so that's fine. And it just goes away. It'll come back, but it'll go away. And you just do the thing that you're supposed to be doing. Okay. Gratitude. I want to end my prepared remarks by talking about gratitude a little bit. And it's kind of related to the pictures of the damn universe that I was showing you earlier. You know, it's real easy to get caught up in how important this test is and how much it impacts your future, and on and on. And it's all true. It's not helpful, but it's all true. But one thing that helps me sometimes is to get a little bit of perspective, is to think about my grandfather. In fact, all four of my grandparents. But my grandpa Herb, particularly, he was quite a character. He wore overalls like pretty much every day of his life, and a Tilly hat, and had a terrible white beard. And I mean, it was just like, you should have seen this guy. But my grandpa Herb, he, and you can think about your grandparents or your parents or your great grandparents. You go back far enough and you're going to find a story like my grandpa. He came from nowhere, like dirt floor, Oklahoma. And he came to California in the Dust Bowl to look for work as an agricultural laborer. He had a fourth or fifth grade education and left school. He had a bus ticket that his brother had sent him from California, and he got on a Greyhound bus to California to come and actually pick peaches or prune almonds or do whatever backbreaking, dirty, hot, underpaid work he could find. And if I think about getting anxious about a damn test, or getting anxious about a golf shot, or getting anxious about really pretty much anything in my life, it's helpful sometimes to think back to someone like that and go, you know, I'm taking a law school admission test. I'm sitting here in a cushy chair. I got the air conditioning on. The test takes 2.5 hours in a climate controlled environment. How hard is that compared to 16 hours worth of manual labor to try to feed your family? And I know that you guys all have people in your lives. For me, it's my grandpa Herb, and actually all four of my grandparents just worked their asses off for their entire life. And you guys are college graduates. You're thinking about going to law school. You know, you have already won the lottery of life. You have won it. Compare yourself to all of the people who have ever existed. Compare yourself to all the people who do exist right now on the planet. By virtue of being here, you are wealthier, better educated, and just healthier, happier, safer than 99% of the rest of the planet. You guys have it wildly good. We all do. And I hope that maybe we can come back to that and just kind of remind ourselves that, hey, you know, yeah, the test is a big deal for me, but also none of this shit matters that much. I'm going to get good at the test. I'm going to do my best on this sentence, and then the next sentence, and this question, and then the question after that. And then I'm going to let all of the chips just kind of fall where they may. As far as getting good at the LSAT, I believe that what we have at LSAT Demon is just the very best prep that money can buy. One LSAT point is worth $10,000 roughly in law school scholarships. And our highest tier of LSAT Demon costs $295 a month. For that $295 a month, I'm shocked if you don't improve by a few points like immediately. And each one of those points, I believe, is worth $10,000. I think that LSAT Demon is wildly underpriced, actually, as far as the value that we can deliver. And I would strongly encourage you to try it for a month and see what you think if you're not already one of our subscribers. If you subscribe at the live level, we have multiple live classes 7 days a week, tons of classes with me. If you hate me, there's lots of other people that you can study with. We have classes with Ben. We have classes at all levels. We have classes on all topics, and they're happening all the time. Speaking of that, at the top of the hour, I go teach my normal Thursday night class, which is a 2-hour, all levels, all topics class. And I just absolutely love teaching the LSAT. So to study with me, LSAT Demon Live is the way to do that. If you decide to subscribe at one of our lower levels, the lower levels of the Demon, we have people kicking ass at the premium level and at the basic level as well. Those are $95 a month or $195 a month. And it's the world's best explanations. We have multiple videos for most questions. We have written explanations for all of the logical reasoning, all of the reading comprehension. We have a smart AI drilling tool that gives you the exact right question at the right time. So you don't have to decide what to do. You just hit drill and do a question. It keeps track of how well you're doing, and it feeds you the questions that are the just right level of challenge for you. And then we also have an ask button on every single page where you can get to a whole team of tutors if you want to ask us for help on any of the 10,000 questions that we have in our test bank. We have a team of tutors that'll get back to you within 24 hours. And that's available even at the free level. So give that a shot. You guys you're all free, at least Demon subscribers. And with your Demon free account, there's a couple hundred questions that you can do. You can watch the videos, you can read the explanations, and you can use the ask button if you're still confused. I hope that you will all at least take full advantage of the free resources. We hope that we have the best free resources that exist. And I think we do. All right, that's it for the sales pitch. I have a bit of time left. What did I miss? I saw some people in the chat talking about ProctorU. You can't control ProctorU, so why are you worried about ProctorU? You have 5 chances to take the test. Eventually, one of those 5, ProctorU will not fuck you, I promise. I mean, it could happen that you have problems with your ProctorU proctor once or twice. But it's not going to keep happening every single time. I've never heard anybody say that 3 times in a row or whatever they had weird ProctorU issues. Every administration of the test, the majority of test takers do just fine with ProctorU. Here's the truth, okay? Scoreboard. Scores are up since the LSAT went online. I don't care what you say after that. Scores are up since the LSAT went online. So, you know, you think it would have been better pencil and paper? No, it wouldn't. Scores are up since the LSAT went online. You get to take it at home in an environment that you control. If you don't have access to an environment that you can control, LSAC will pay for you to go to a hotel and take the test in a hotel room. It's better than it was having to line up outside some weird, you know, you have to go to all kinds of crazy places with weird live tutors, and then you got all kinds of problems with live test administrations. It was worse. It is much better online, and you just should not be panicking about potential ProctorU stuff. All right, what else did I miss? Isabel.
Hey, Nathan. So I kind of talked about this a little bit in the chat, and it seems like other people have that same concern. Is like how do you shut people out like around you, because like I feel like the most anxious part for me about the test is how many people I've told I'm taking the test, and I guess that's on me. Like I kind of dug myself in a hole there with like telling people I was taking the test, and you know, people just ask me all the time about taking the test. So how do you just like not make that make you so anxious? Like I guess I just have a problem just like caring what people think around me, and like just like I just need to focus on myself and not really, I guess, what other people think. But it just, that's my biggest anxiety. It's just like people around me like always ask me about the test every time they see me
Sure.
now, because I told people I took tests.
I have two answers to that. First one is you don't have to take it in August. If you're signed up to take it in August, you can always push it to some later date. If you push it to some later date, tell all those people in your life, you know, I was getting too anxious. I decided I wasn't ready. I'm going to push it off to some later date. And then when you do that, don't tell anybody about the later date that you sign up for.
Yeah, because I'm not taking it in August, but yeah, like I told people like I don't have a date yet or anything, and they still tend to ask me like, when are you taking the test? I'm like, why do you care?
Why don't you say, tell them, Isabel, you have to start, you're going to be an advocate, right? You're going to be a lawyer,
Right.
you're going to be an advocate. Okay, so you need to start advocating for yourself.
Okay.
Those people, they're not helping you. So let
Right.
them know they're not helping you. Say something along
Okay.
the lines of, hey, you know what? Thank you very much. I'm glad you're concerned about this. I got to tell you the truth. It's making me, I'm having panic attacks about this thing. I don't
Okay.
know when I'm going to take it. If you don't mind, maybe don't ask me about it. I don't know.
Okay.
You
Okay.
can figure out a softer way to deliver it than that, but you've got to kind of stand up there and just go thanks, but actually no thanks. The second thing I want to say, Isabel, is again, none of that shit matters. That's one of those things that's not your business. Your business is the sentence that you're supposed to be reading right now.
Right.
Those people aren't going to be there. You're going to be in a room by yourself with a computer, and you're going to be reading the sentences on the screen. You're going to read them one at a time. You're going to do your very best to unpack what they mean. If you have to read it again because you got distracted, that's okay. But ultimately, it's one question at a time. And if you're doing it right, it feels easy. I promise you, it feels easy if you slow down and actually understand what you're reading. All right, Luca,
Okay.
and then Allison.
Thank you.
What's up, Nate? I had two questions. The first is, so I just started studying I'm probably about like a month in, and I don't really have any anxiety like that per se, but I feel like some might be expected going into my first test, which I'll probably take like sometime in the fall. So I was wondering if there were any tips just for like a first LSAT taker that kind of helps with that. I mean, I know you touched on meditation. Is that really like the best kind of tip that you have, or are there like other things you can recommend?
You're like planning for anxiety that hasn't even happened yet. Why do you have why do you have to have anxiety?
Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, if you're good at it, you should not have anxiety.
Gotcha. Okay.
If
And
you're
then
actually good at it, okay,
right.
like if you get to the point where, no, I understand these questions, like I'm gonna figure it out. If you've done enough prep, so Luca, my real advice is do timed sections.
Right, which was my second question. So like I said, I've only been really doing it for about a month or so. So I feel like I don't know if I have the best grasp of all the content. So I was curious if taking time sections is the best thing to do, because
yes.
You know, I don't know if it's like if I don't do well, if I'm like discouraging myself, or like, oh, I didn't reach all the questions, or I'm getting too many wrong. So you're saying that it's best to just do time sections.
I'm not saying only do time sections. I'm saying don't be afraid of doing time sections.
Okay.
By the time you're ready to take the official test, you should have done at least 30 time sections. That's at the bare minimum. That's 10 full tests is 30 time sections. But most of your competitors, I mean, your competitors that matter, they're doing 20 tests or 40 tests or all 100 of the available practice tests. And so you need to start putting in the work. I mean, let's be honest. You guys are going to be lawyers. If you're going to be a successful lawyer, you're going to work your ass off. If you don't want to work your ass off, this is not the field for you. So you need to do time sections regularly, like at least one of each every week. Let's say that. Okay, that's one test a week. And then in between, you need to do all the untimed practice in the world. So thoroughly review every mistake you make. And then the other thing I want to tell you, Luca, is that when you're doing those time sections, do not try to finish the section. You gotta decide, I don't care about finishing the section. I'm not going to finish the section. If you finish the section, it should be an accident. And it should be like, well, no, they were so easy that I finished and I got them all right. But if you don't get them all right, I don't want you to finish the section.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Okay, I have to teach at the top of the hour. I'm gonna take a couple more questions. Jen is gonna hang out with you guys. So if you have more questions, Jen will hang out and try to sort you all out. I'm not gonna be able to get to everybody, I don't think, but let's try Allison and then Peter.
Okay, hi. So I'm taking the LSAT in August, and I have a question about like inconsistent prep test scores. Like I've been for the past few weeks, I've been pretty happy with my prep test scores, but very recently I got two very weirdly very bad scores. And I feel like it's probably due to burnout by this point, but still, like even knowing that, I was afraid that like I can't control myself. Basically, it feels like my score is out of my control. I don't know why. Just suddenly got a two weirdly low score. So I wonder, yeah.
Yeah, you need to watch the last one of these free classes that I did was about score variance. And my primary message about score variance is that it doesn't mean shit. You're always going to have variance. So my primary, my first hypothesis about Allison, your last two tests where you went down, my first hypothesis is probably just random. Probably just random. There's lots of randomness in your scores, believe it or not. You think there's consistency because sometimes you will score the same score a few times in a row, but then you'll get some crazy score out of nowhere and you'll be like, oh, something happened. No, it didn't. It's just random. Even random scores can sometimes be the same score a few times in a row. So you can get the illusion that you're consistent. You can get the illusion that you're at a plateau. You're not. But watch that whole class, Allison. There's like an hour of discussion about that. Let me talk to Peter and then Jeremy if I have time.
Hi, Nathan. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Awesome. So I'm less anxious about the test and more just about my progress. I'm going to be taking in September. Pretty much all or like most or all of my mistakes are coming on reading comp, and I've been doing time sections, a lot of drilling, not as many practice tests. I was just wondering, like, what do you think I should do in the months or the weeks or the days leading up to my exam to improve?
You should review your mistakes and figure out why you're making them. That advice is the same for reading comp as it is for logical reasoning, as it is for logic games. And it's the same for Peter as it is for all other LSAT students for all time. The test will tell you what you're bad at. The test will tell you what you don't understand. When you're making mistakes on reading comp, Peter, you're picking answers that just do not answer the question based on what the passage said. You're misunderstanding the passage, or you're misunderstanding the question, or you're misunderstanding the answer that you're picking. But you're picking an answer that does not answer the question based on what it showed in the record. And so you need to thoroughly review every one of those mistakes that you're making in reading comp. It's not that the other answer was better. It's that your answer was wrong and that other answer is correct. And you got to accept that idea that there's one right answer and four wrong answers, and then just get really intensely interested in every mistake you're making.
Right. Thanks for the answer. Do you think there's a mix of drilling, time sections, and practice tests that would be best, or
nothing particular? No, I mean, just a little bit of each, and less full tests. Nobody needs to do very many full tests. Drilling, time sections, untimed review of every single mistake you make, and come to class if you're a Demon Live subscriber. All right, Delaney, final question.
Thank you so much, Nathan. I'll try to be quick because I know we're running out of time. So I'm one of those people that sometimes goes into like fight or flight during prep tests or during the exam itself. And I'm pretty aware at noticing this. Like, for example, I'll be doing a logic game and I'll just completely freeze up. And I'm curious what your insight is on what to do during the test environment when we realize like we're getting really anxious, and if things go in this direction, we're not going to do well. Like, I'm currently just pausing to take a breath, but then it's really hard to get back into my flow state again. Thanks so much.
Yeah, I think it's definitely take a breath. I love that idea. Close your eyes. If you have any kind of a mindfulness background to fall back on, that's the time for it. You know, you're going to go, oh, there it is. There's that panic attack. Yep. I know. I'm struggling with this game for some reason. If you're well prepared enough at the LSAT, you're going to go, you know, I've learned that these games are actually easy. And so, yeah, I'm missing something. But when I've had this experience in the past, it's almost always been the case that I misread a rule, or maybe I skipped a rule, or, you know, there's something, I promise it's something tiny every time. Every time it's like, well, yeah, but you're just misinterpreting that rule. And then the whole game doesn't make sense. But if you're well practiced enough, Delaney, then when that happens, hopefully you'll go, well, yeah, okay, I know that this is probably just something small, it can't be that big of a deal. What am I going to do about it? Well, I'm going to reread carefully this time and make sure that I'm understanding every element in the game. I think that the mindfulness stuff can help you catch it quicker and return back to the task at hand faster. The more, because I mean, that's what it is. You're like really training yourself to control your focus, to not get carried away. It's not that we're keeping those thoughts out. It's that we're letting them in, acknowledging them, and then letting them go. And getting back to work, which is, hey, there's a sentence here, there's something here that I'm not quite understanding, and I need to reread that and get back to it. All right, Jen is going to hang out with you. If you have more questions, please talk to Jen. She knows everything about the LSAT Demon, and she is here to help you. So don't just leave because I'm leaving. I'm going to my normal class that I teach on Thursday night. Thank you everyone for being here. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Abigail. And I'll see all y'all next time.